السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, welcome to the 12th episode of A Story and an Ayah. Today, inshallah, we are going to be talking about Surah al-Bayyinah. However, unlike all the other episodes, when we're talking about the story behind the reason of the revelation, today we're going to be talking about something different. It's still a story associated with Surah al-Bayyinah, but it's not the reason of revelation. So this story has to do with one of the companions, radiallahu anhu, one of the Ansar. He's Ubay ibn Ka'b, radiallahu anhu. Now, if you don't know Ubay ibn Ka'b, he is the one of the first individuals, one of the first Ansar to accept Islam, and so he was he had witnessed the second Aqaba, the second Bay'ah al-Aqaba, when the Prophet ﷺ was still in Mecca. And so about a year or a few months before the Prophet ﷺ had made the hijrah to Medina, this delegation from Medina, they came to the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca, and they took the covenant and oath to support him and aid him. Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu was also the scribe of the Prophet ﷺ. He was one of the first scribes, meaning that he would write down the Quran once it revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, when he would get a revelation, he would call some of the scribes that included Ubay ibn Ka'b, and they would write down the verses that were revealed. One of the virtues, or among the virtues of Ubay ibn Ka'b, was that the Prophet ﷺ, when he was praising Ubay ibn Ka'b, he said, وَأَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ Ubay ibn Ka'b, that the one or among those who are the best of the reciters of the Quran is Ubay ibn Ka'b. And so Ubay ibn Ka'b was one of those individuals who had memorized the entire Quran in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was advising the companions to who they should memorize the Quran from or take it from who, he mentioned four individuals. One of them was Ubay ibn Ka'b. The other three were Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Salim Mawla Abi Hudayfa, and Abi Hudayfa, and Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu ajma'in. So what is the story that has to do with Surah al-Bayyinah? The story, as mentioned by Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim, is that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam had come to Ubay ibn Ka'b, and he told him, Ya Ubay, inna Allah amarani an aqra alayk lam yakun alladhina kafaru. He told Ubay ibn Ka'b that Allah has ordered me to come to you and recite upon you lam yakun alladhina kafaru. And this is the beginning of Surah al-Bayyinah. Lam yakun alladhina kafaru. And the Prophet ﷺ proceeded to recite the entire Surah to Ubay ibn Ka'b. So Ubay ibn Ka'b, when he heard this from the Prophet ﷺ, he told him, وَسَمَّانِ لَكَ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned me by name to you. So the Prophet ﷺ said yes. At this point, Ubay ibn Ka'b had started crying, and he teared up because when he heard about this. So what can we learn from the story? Well, this is really a story that shows us something that's very important. It shows us what true fame really is. And this is something that we really have to pay attention to. The reason behind it is because we live in a time where fame and popularity and stardom is something that people actively pursue and desire. Many people even seem to define their value or their worth based on how popular or famous they are. We have so many electronic electronic-based outlets and programs and social medias that help and encourage this phenomena. And it's really funny how we keep chasing after something that will never last in the first place. It was never meant to last. This world is temporary, and so including the praise and the fame that we encounter in this world. We are really chasing after something that is false. It's a false form of fame, a fame that has no true value. And so this story really shows us and it teaches us what true fame is. True fame is in the heavens. It's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is to be praised and mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Ubay ibn Ka'b teared up at the end of the story. Is because when he was informed that he was mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it indicated perhaps what his status is in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, can you imagine what kind of status you would have if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, the King of Kings himself, the creator of the worlds himself, mentions you by name? What kind of status do you have? So this story shows us what true fame should look like. It is being known by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. True fame is in the heavens. What use really is it to be acknowledged, or what benefit is there to be acknowledged and celebrated and praised by people in the earth, but you're not even mentioned in the heavens. What is the benefit of being known in the earth but non-existent with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Our true value does not come from how people see us or think of us, but it is what is our status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our true value appears in how we can answer the question, what is our status or what is our value in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made sure that the companions understood this, and he tried to ingrain them in every opportunity or every chance almost he had. So for example, one time the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with his friends around, the friends were sitting around him, and then a person had passed by the place they were sitting. And so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked the people around him and he said, what do you say about this individual? And so when they looked up, this happened to be a person who is very popular, who's rich and is known. And so they said, this individual, well, if he proposes to somebody, they will accept it. Proposes them in marriage mean they will accept. And if he intercedes on somebody's behalf, his intercession will be accepted. And if he speaks, he'll be listened to. So the Prophet ﷺ remained silent for a little bit. And then another person passed by afterward. But this person, the second person who passed by, was a person who was considered of a lower economical status. A person who is impoverished, who's poor, who's unknown. And so the Prophet ﷺ asked the companions around him and he said, well, what do you say about this individual then? They said, well, this individual, it is more likely that if he asks a person's hand in marriage, he would be rejected. So if he proposes, he'll be rejected. And if he intercedes, his intercession will be rejected. And if he speaks, he'll be not listened to. He would not be listened to. And so the Prophet ﷺ, then he taught them an important lesson. He said, هَذَا خَيْرٌ مِّن مِلْءِ الْأَرْضِ مِنْ هَذَا. He said, this second individual, this poor person who's unknown, is better than an earth full of that first individual. And so the lesson the Prophet ﷺ was trying to teach is that a person and his value, that the status of a person and his value is not by his wealth or power or family name or popularity, but rather it is by taqwa of the person and his true status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The story and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, they show us that a popular, a famous and known individual, or the hadith shows us that a popular famous individual has no significance in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or could possibly have no significance in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while in fact on the other hand he be considered from the lowest of levels, while another person who is unknown, who's ignored by many people, who's belittled, can be of a person of true significance, true fame and true value in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ also said in another hadith, رُبَّ أَشْعَثْ مَدْفُوعٍ بِالْأَبْوَابِ لَوْ أَقْسَمَ عَلَى اللَّهِ لَأَبَرَّ. That perhaps there's a person that is disheveled, that is rejected at the doors. So when he comes to a door, he's pushed away, he's ignored. If he, however, this individual, if he swears by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would surely fulfill his oath. He would not let him down. And so attaining nobility in this world really has no meaningful consequence. But what truly matters is what is really of significance, and what really matters is the one that we attain in the hereafter. That is in the true life. So the hereafter is a true life. What do we attain there? The true scale which should really determine and we should really use to measure our true value is taqwa. That is the true nobility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna akramakum inda Allahi atqakum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, the Inna atqakum, Inna akramakum inda Allah, the most noble of you in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has more taqwa. And the Prophet ﷺ once again reinforced this meaning when he said, Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your appearances and your wealth. A lot of times nowadays, what really, a person becomes famous is either by looks or by wealth or power, whatever the case is. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't look at all these things. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرْ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your hearts and your actions, because your actions truly reflect what's in your heart. What matters is how much taqwa and iman you have. And so true fame really comes from being mentioned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being acknowledged and named by name to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the question is, what can we do so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would mention our name? I'm going to mention two things quickly, inshallah, hopefully, that is very easy that we can do, so that inshallah we can be among the ones who have attained true fame in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the first thing we can do is dhikr, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a hadith Qudsi, he said, وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذْ ذَكَرَنِي. He's talking about his slave, his person. He said, أَنَا عِنْدَ ظَنِّي عَبْدِي بِي. I am as my servant thinks of me, and I am with him if he remembers me. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also in this hadith, he says, فَإِنْ ذَكَرَنِي فِي نَفْسِهِ ذَكَرْتُهُ فِي نَفْسِي وَإِنْ ذَكَرَنِي فِي مَلَأٍ ذَكَرْتُهُ فِي مَلَأٍ خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ. That if my slave or my servant remembers me and mentions me in him, I will mention him in me, في نفسي. And if he mentions me in a setting or a sitting, I will mention him in a setting or a sitting that is better than the one he mentioned me in. So if we ever want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mention us by name, then the easiest thing we can do is to do dhikr, to remember him. And this is something that is very simple and easy. However, its reward is so immense, is that you might perhaps be mentioned by name, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might mention you by name to the gathering around him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those gatherings, it will be usually the angels. Maybe perhaps even other the pious individuals, whether it's the prophets in Jannah, but whatever the case is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions you in a setting that is better than what you have mentioned in. So that's one of the things we can do. The other thing perhaps that we can do is to seek the areas or the settings where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being mentioned, especially if it's a setting of Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in another hadith, he said, مَجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بِيُوتِ اللَّهِ, that there isn't a group of people who would gather in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they study it, except that نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ السَّكِينَةِ, tranquility will come up down upon them. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةِ, and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would engulf them. وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, and the angels would surround them. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدِهِ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention them to those who are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those are two quick things we can do, inshallah, so that we can attain true fame with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is to just remember him. Say dhikr, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, akbar, to occupy our time with it, to keep our time busy with it. We can do it in times where we are doing activities that don't require enough focus or a lot of focus, and so our tongues can be working and doing something beneficial. At the same time, also we can seek those settings and places that distribute knowledge of Islamic knowledge, whether it's the tafsir of the Quran or the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We sit in those, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would mention us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who hear these lessons and act upon them, so that we will be able to properly recalibrate our compass and make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his prophet and this religion the most important thing to our lives, so that we would be able to understand the true weight of things in reality, that what really matters is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks of us, not what people think of us, because these people do not last. This world does not last, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lasts. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallah bihamdik. أشهد أن أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.